allow me to introduce you to the paint first, detail later approach to ink and watercolour urban sketching. We'll use 3 simple steps to explore expressive colours, gradually build up that detail and value, and before you know it, you'll have produced a lovely, simple, but rather fun sketch filled with little moments of magic, like these birds down here. The photo is from Kanazawa in Japan, and I genuinely got a little bit obsessed with their telephone poles when I was out in Japan. So I'm really excited to finally be bringing a video to do with them. Now the first step is all about using light and expressive colours to map out the shapes we find in our scene. When I say light and expressive colours, well, notice the colours of the photo are rather muted and neutral, but I'm choosing to go in with green and red as my main colours to start with. Now green and red are colours opposite each other on the colour wheel. That is to say they are complementary colours, and together they will neutralise and get towards something like that neutral in the photo, but in a far more interesting way. To add a bit more natural value, I'm also including some indigo, and I'm using just a size 10 round brush and almost drawing with it, but drawing with lots of water and quickly softening in those lines to allow us to basically build shapes onto our page, light and gentle shapes. Now we're going back into those shapes with different colours and playing now with different warm colours along with intense indigo. We get interesting varied shapes as well. Bits of that bright gold on the left, reds and earthiness on the right. And then, last but not least, coming back in with even more bright red to neaten up the shapes and just start to suggest where we see interesting lines, interesting things which will become details later on. But at this stage, we're not trying to be specific at all. We're trying to be flexible. And if our scene is made up of flexible, light shapes, gently blending and melding together, well, there's a lot we can do with that later. You'll find many of these wires, we're tempted to think of them as sort of almost just lines which we should do with just a fine liner. But actually take a moment to look at lots of these lines and notice how the telephone wires are rather large. They're actually very big. They're almost bigger than some of the gutters and the detailing on the roofs at the bottom of the scene. So we can treat them as shapes, or at least as rather thick lines which we're very happy to go in with our brush with. And using the brush allows us to get these kind of flowing, looser lines as well. And at this stage, just remember, if things are wrong, it's absolutely fine. This little twiddle, for example, will disappear into the distance. I added it because I was on autopilot, and that's what I would normally do with a pen. I would add little loops and twirls, and exactly the same thing will work here. Equally, we find these lines which crisscross in front and behind each other, and just going over them wet on wet allows things to be soft, light and airy. So just gently move around the scene, gradually finding whatever seems to be the most important shapes, the most important larger lines, and we're just mapping those in with our colours. In terms of the choice of colour, I think that's probably something else worth spending a bit of time thinking about. And you can hopefully see that everything to do with the wires above, I've used that green and red along with a little bit of neutraler indigo. That's just a choice. That is a colour scheme. Now colour schemes are a way of thinking about colour instead of just trying to match colours photorealistically. And I really encourage you to look into them. I've got a lot of information about that in my courses. So if you want to join my courses, even in my free courses, we talk about these ideas. And they really help simplify the process and create, I think, more interesting art. Now for the sky, I'm doing another thing to simplify. Instead of painting the sky, creating a background, I'm just going to do some light splashes. That'll be enough for me. If you're enjoying this video, then you might enjoy my free course. It's totally free. It will take you from zero to hero in inks and watercolour sketching. I'd love to see you there. The link is down below. But without further ado, let's get back to this video. And then we move on and we start building value and detail. Now I'm going to show you two different approaches to this. And you could use both or either. The first I'm showing you here is using a watercolor pencil or an Inktense pencil, which is a water-soluble pencil. You can see, because the page is still a little bit damp, this water-soluble Inktense pencil is just producing a rich, quite soft line. It's not like drawing with ink where it's a hard, definite line. No, this is producing a fairly soft line, and I'm able to be a bit more detailed with it. So here, picking out more specific things within my scene. Now, these wires are very complicated, so even though I'm starting to bring out specific things, starting to draw specific outlines, that absolutely does not mean I have to draw everything or every single detail. Just work around the scene. So you see how I'm starting at the most interesting point, then moving outwards, then moving back, and then moving outwards, then moving to different wires and different places. So I don't need to spell everything out. And doing that, keeping it loose, will keep it more interesting. That first was a nice red colour. It's actually called chili red. And now I'm using a sort of deeper, almost indigo colour to produce more shadows on the other side of the telephone pole and other different wires, as well as coming down into these dark areas of the roof. Again, just focusing gradually on one area, then another, moving around, not getting too stuck in anywhere. You can see where the page is wet, where it's dry, my pencil does different things, and so we just note that and adapt as we go. And that's the beauty of sketching with kind of wet on wet techniques or onto a wet page. We have lots of different ways we can play and explore. There's some fun details that we can start adding. Remember, this is building value, darker colours, building detail. So find those little lines, those little textures, these little things which you find interesting in the scene. And it doesn't matter if things move a little bit either. So you'll notice some of these wires don't perfectly match with where they might appear that they should be in the photo. And that's fine. As long as they feel all right, as long as they are adding to your scene, I think that's great. I like mine to feel like the scene, but not necessarily be a perfect representation of it. And that's my approach to details. And that, again, I think is where the paint first and then gradually adding details approach works really nicely. We have already got the main structure of the scene in here, and we could just gradually build and build detail and see where it gets us to. Now, with these firmer lines, we can choose if they go in front or behind other lines by breaking them and then by starting them again on the other side. So we can bring lines through, in front or behind the telephone pole as an example, just by taking this slightly more thoughtful approach. So that was approach number 1 to using detail and value in this type of sketching process. Approach number 2 is just still using our brush. So here we can see a much smaller brush, a size 6 round brush. It's actually a very small size 6, almost like a size 4 round brush, and much thicker colour. The same colour, this is the same red, but applied as a second layer and applied drier gives us a much sort of deeper colour. And we don't want to do this first. What we want is the light coming through, and then we build up the value and character. You can also see that using this I can produce very similar lines to the pencil. Of course they feel a bit different in terms of the texture, which is why I'm using both. I want both of these different textures, but in terms of how much control you can have and how fine they are, actually just being gentle with a small brush, and you can produce very similar effects. In fact, the depth of colour that I'm getting from this brush is much closer to drawing in many ways, to my mind, at least much closer to drawing in ink. It produces a smoother, softer, more continuous line, which is what I'd expect from an ink pen or a Fude pen or something. I'm still using these same colours, indigos, reds, that deep green, because I want it to be consistent. I don't want to introduce loads of new pigments at this stage. Similarly, this is a little bit of quinacridone sienna mixed in with those indigos, which is the same golden colour I used previously. We can also use the idea of negative painting here, painting either side of this green line, which I sketched through earlier, makes that green line now feel like we've actually painted that. That's the idea of negative painting. Painting darkness either side of something light makes it feel like you painted the light thing. In fact, we only painted the shadows. The same works in this building on the bottom right. Just painted the shadows and it feels like some of these light areas have been purposefully painted. That's a really key part of watercolour painting, which can be challenging, I think, sometimes to get our heads around. Now, I want to introduce things into my scene which make me happy. And one of those things is a bit of life, something interesting. So I am being brave and introducing a new pigment. And that new pigment is a bright bit of yellow. And I'm going to turn these little dibs and dabs, basic kind of ovals, into birds. Just in a couple of places. A few splashes, a couple of them don't look anything like birds at all, do they? A couple of them have got little odd shapes either side and aren't even perched on the wire. But with a little bit of faith, a little bit of maybe excessive overconfidence from myself, I feel like I know what I'm doing and that these will turn into interesting birds. So stay tuned for the moment of brilliance later. I thought it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. But stay tuned for the bit which made me really happy later when we turn these splashes into ink. There isn't too much left to do now. We could keep going, of course, forever, and just build up all the detail. We could paint around area and make a lovely sky. But for me, this less is more approach means I just want to add a few more darker touches before putting my brush to one side and letting this dry. And now it's time for the scary bit, adding a little bit of ink. And yes, when we come to adding our ink, the fear is real. So take a less is more approach, just a little bit here and there, and see how it's going. Now I'm starting off here with a Fude pen. Fude pen is a soft pen which feels a little bit like a brush to use. In fact, this nib itself on this Fude pen is called a brush nib. I could just as well use a fountain pen. It would just feel slightly differently. And here is the bit I was really both dreading but also looking forward to. And it also really shows the less is more approach. With a few very gentle lines, those little yellow blobs become birds. And then I move on, move away from them. Don't touch them for a little bit longer. We can come back and add more if we need to. Similarly, just dotting around the page. Where does the outline to something want to be a little crisper? Where do I want a tiny bit more contrast? That is what the ink is going to give us. We can come back, we can go up, we can move around. I want to get a couple more of these birds feeling good. So having decided I'm happy with the ones down below, I move in and add these guys at the top as well. And those tiny touches, just suggested little touches, they make me really happy. I really like what happens with these guys. I just, with the ink, want to move around in a few places because, as I say, all it's adding is a tiny bit of darker contrast. It's a little more controlled than using a brush because we know exactly where the nib is and we can predict how much ink is going to come out far more than with a brush. We lose some of that dynamism, we lose some of those happy accidents, but we gain control and that allows us to add just a bit of extra detail. But I don't want to do too much. I'm picking out the finest lines, I'm picking out the darkest edges, things I just want to crisp up a tiny bit more. And then before long, I just need to step away and decide if I want to add more or if I'm happy with those little moments. And let me just show you the moment that I was most happy with of all. And this is the little moment of magic. Just a little close up, look how these guys came out. This guy makes me really happy.